1 year caliper, and we see as soon as 1.27 we know, okay, it's done. Okay, so it's hitting now. We leave, actually we make it 1 point, even though the groove is 1.27 mm deep, we sometimes just keep it at like 1.3 or even a little bit more, so that it does not hit just kiss. When it hit, it means you are going to add some more pressure, more tonnage. Just kiss, then just kiss it, no more pressure, right? Okay. And these four, it's easy for you to understand. These four are nothing but guide pins, guide bushes, right? Guide bushes for upper die. And then like it has multiple forms and all. So to control the control the forces, we have these two lower guide blocks. So what happened? We have guide post in upper which comes, and that is the way we try to balance and provide some thirst, balance out the thirst because of the shape of the part, right? Now these are stock guides. Here you are stock guide, here is stock guide. You see these two are movable and these one are fixed. This is the front side, right? Because our stock, that coil width could be less, could be more. It has a tolerance, right? So within that range it might be less or more. So you need to adjust it. You may need every time during setting you might need to move it, or you might need to move it back, so it to accommodate bigger or smaller size, right? This is all fixed. It has double holes. It's double to this. Now this one you see here, this whole thing, if you see this whole thing here, right? Let me just hide this one and just hide this one. So you see this is bolted using four guide pins. Guide pin retained also using that, right? So what happens? This is known as lifter block. What is it? Lifter block. Why we say lifter block? Because your when we feed the coil, at that time it has to be in lift up position. When the upper die comes down, it will first push it down to the dead end position, and then that will happen from the upper pad, and then the punch will trim or pierce or form, right? So that's why it has to be in lifter position. That's why we use a lifter block here. Question is, we could use a small lifter pins also. That's also okay. Small lifter blocks or pins, that's also okay. But here, this is kind of big one, and right now we are using only 4 guide pins, and we have 6 gas springs. In our dies, we only use gas spring. We don't use guide coil springs, right? So what happens? Had we used Instead of this, had we used anything like a smaller lifter pins, we again had to use the gas springs, right? So it's more economical and more better. Okay. Now, as you know, this is my stock guide. This pin here, this pin over here, and at the end of the die, right? Okay, okay, it's not here, but what we do, we provide 2 pins throughout the length of the die. So one here and one will be somewhere here. What happens? You need to make the coil align to the die. It has to be in center with the press center line, right? So what do we do when we fix this die on the press bolster? We manually match with this pin and that pin. So if my coil is meeting this pin here and this pin here, it means it's straight, right? So for that purpose it is. I already told you what is this, and this one is balancing block, right? Because the upper pad, when it comes first, it is not going to hit this, but that will come and start pushing from here, right? All these white are trim tools, right? We have die buttons. Now, sometime back I had explained how to use the die buttons. So these are kind of precision slide feet, and it will go in very smoothly, very easily, right? It will not be loose, but it will not be tight. How do we retain it? So let me just hide this. So this has a flat cut. It's a standard. Actually, if you go to data, we use data only. So if you have a standard flat cut, so against that flat, this will come and fix it, right? So this is my trim line. Now this is the profile which we are trimming. We follow 10% of sheet metal thickness as die clearance, and we also try to keep minimum 15 millimeter gap distance between any hole wall and the trim line, right? If we can do 20, then we are more better, but at least 15 millimeters should be there. So let me just check it fast for you guys, right? So if I check between here and here, sorry, it took okay, no, that is because I had to hide it. Now, man, as you can see, it's roughly 20 millimeter, right? So it's uh, it's split in multiple steels, because that way it's easy for us to maintain them, right? And this one here was pitch punch, and then here is pitch sensor. So what happens as soon as you cut this and it moves ahead, then as soon as it will reach here, this will come inside and get into the slot, and it will move away from here. So it will give a so this will give a sensing to the PLC, base PLC, right? So we have this sensor over here, and the sensor will be as per the customer. All even this pitch sensing will be as per the customer standard, right? And we have some more. Now we also have to show you how we fix these plates here. So as you can see, this is my trim steel. It's like 50 millimeter or 2 inches thick, and it will have a backup plate, hard backup plate. The thickness of the backup plate will be half inches, right? And then it will be fixed like that, right? We have used, as you can see, we have used 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, 2 dowels, and these one here are jack screws. What are jack screws? In your car, you must have seen. In your car also, you must have seen jack. So jack, you use jack and lift it up, right? So similarly here, you use jack screws and lift it up. And one more information I'll show you here. You see the dowel hole are not through the lower plate and the bottom plate, right? It is only up to here, and then a smaller diameter hole are there. So this is known as locking hole. What happens if it's not there? Chances are that dowel at some point of time might get loosened and it might come out, right? But because it's here, it will never go out, never fall down, right? So that's all here. So this were like this we use because the pad is going to push out from here, and this we use because it will balance the upper pad, correct? Because the force will be different here and different here, so the pad might get tilted, and this is what will balance the pad balancer. It's also known as pad balancer. Now this lifter plate has 4 lifting holes also, as you can see.